Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome. How is everyone today? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for a big new release day? Because today, it is the premiere not only of a new game, but the beginning of a slew of brand new releases between now and I'd say probably early December. If not even further into December, if release dates hold, which who knows if they're going to at this point, with all the chaoticness of games getting delayed left and right. Yes, it is very exciting time of the year, and today is the beginning of that very exciting time. Today is the premiere of Watch Dogs Legion. And we don't know what the heck it's going to be, I'll be honest. Even with all the coverage that they've had of this game and all the explanations that we've heard, I don't even know what to expect. I really don't. A Watch Dogs game where you're basically controlling generic characters that are expendable because you can recruit anyone you want in London, but at the same time, any of them can die. And if they do, they're out of the game, then you got to get someone else to replace them. I don't know. The premise is interesting, but I don't know if the execution is going to be fun. You know what I'm saying? Will you have investment in a character if that character at any moment can die or be arrested and then they're out of the game permanently, right? What if you're invested in a character and then all of a sudden, boop, they're gone and you got to get someone to replace them, and now do you really care about the replacement? Maybe this is a misstep, maybe it's not. I don't know. And the attitude I'm taking going into this is let's keep an open mind, all right? Let's try to enjoy the game for face value. Let's go in with no expectations, although I did play both Watch Dogs 1 and 2, and I actually felt Watch Dogs 2 was actually one of the most improved sequels in gaming history. Because Watch Dogs 1, I felt had good core gameplay mechanics, but the issue was that the main character was a bit dry and boring, and a lot of people didn't like the story. They thought that the story was kind of boring, not super interesting, and way too drawn out. In Watch Dogs 2, you had a wide variety of characters on your team, your DedSec hacker team, who all had different personalities, different quirks to them, and different quest lines. Right? And because of that, the game felt unique and different from Watch Dogs 1 in a huge positive way. The problem was that Watch Dogs 1 was super duper overhyped. Everyone had these ginormous expectations for it. If you remember at E3 that year, that was the E3 I attended, 2012. Many gaming media outlets picked Watch Dogs as their game of the show pick, a game that no one had expected, and it was presented for the first time at that E3, and people were blown away by the premise of the game and how good it sounded. But when the game actually released, it didn't live up to the expectations and the hype, and so a lot of people were super disappointed. When Watch Dogs 2 came out, they improved it to be probably living up to the expectations of the first game, but many people just kind of skipped or panned the game because they thought the first one sucked so bad, they didn't want to waste time on the second one. So it's kind of a unique situation. All right? Now, my question, that you have to have is third time's a charm, I guess. Will this be a situation where the third game will be the culmination of everything, right? Will they hit it on all cylinders? Will people give the game a shot? Because honestly, that's another major issue here is will people actually give it a chance? Versus kind of just completely writing it off and saying it's not going to be good because, it's the same franchise, okay? I guess we're going to find out together, starting today. I don't know if this first, helping of gameplay, this intro segment or whatever, and introducing us to all the game mechanics, I don't know if this is going to be enough for us to get a taste and know exactly how good the game's going to be. So the way I'm doing it is I'm going to be playing it today and tomorrow, and then this is going to be the major game over the course of this weekend that I'm going to be focusing on. Okay? So let's talk, now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk and transition into the schedule for this weekend, because this is a big weekend, guys. Lots of fun stuff going on this weekend. I hope you're excited for all the streams that are going to be going down this weekend. Okay? Watch Dogs Legion premieres right now on stream, a major 3.5 hours of gameplay. It should be a good time. Later tonight, it's my weekly throwback session of Street Fighter, old school Street Fighter fun. 2 hours of Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, and Street Fighter Alpha 3. Usually it's a good time. Sometimes it's laggy. Last week, honestly, the connections were quite laggy, which is a little bit disappointing. I'm hoping this week the connections will be better. I mean, I'm playing on a different night than usual, so maybe that'll add to the enjoyment. Who knows? But that's tonight. Okay. Tomorrow, it's a double new release day because it's the premiere of the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope, the horror anthology series. The first game, Man of Medan, I played last summer, and it was pretty good. Although, admittedly, once you figured out the twist of the plot, it wasn't as good or scary. This time around, I don't know what the game's going to be about, besides basically it's supposed to be spooky or haunting or something, supposedly in Salem, Massachusetts. Okay? So that'll be interesting. Tomorrow, horror game. We're going to do our first major run of the game on the main gameplay stream. Tomorrow night, the late stream, is going to be more Watch Dogs Legion. Alright, so we're continuing on with it tomorrow. On Saturday, it is my Halloween marathon. Okay, Halloween marathon. I hope you guys are joining me for that. All day long, I'll be in costume, playing a variety of games that I will determine tonight. Because it's actually tonight I'm going to sit down and look at the games that you guys nominated. And I'm going to select between those and a few other special things. For example, I definitely want to play Animal Crossing and do their Halloween event. Maybe we'll do some Little Hope during that. Maybe we'll do some of my second run of Little Hope and do alternate choices or something. All right, we'll see. But, yes, this should be a fun holiday event all day Saturday, marathon setting. I hope you guys will join me for that Halloween day. All right? And then Sunday and Monday, both days I'm going to focus in on more Watch Dogs Legion. Sunday night, unless we need to play more Little Hope to finish the second run, I'm going to be checking out The Legend of Zelda, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity demo. It was released yesterday on the Switch, and it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Some people really like it, and some people are saying the frame rate is absolutely terrible, so I guess I have to see for myself. But I'm going to be checking that out likely Sunday night, if not Monday night, all right? And then Monday night, if we didn't get a chance to do the demo yet, it'll be Monday night. If we did, then likely Monday night I'll probably go back to Pokemon for a late night stream, trying to finish up the Crown Tundra DLC. We still have, I believe, 2 to 3 legendaries. Well, actually, if I remember correctly, because I'm thinking, there's one legendary that's remaining to be caught in the wild. And then there's 3 birds, legendary birds that we have to catch. And then once that's done, I don't know if there's any more or if that's the end of the story, and then you just focus on basically completing the Pokedex. So we'll see. But that might be Monday night. It all depends. All right. Then I'm off on Tuesday, and then this coming week, what I need to do is sit down and really review the game release schedule, because I haven't had a chance to do that in a long time. I'm not aware of any major releases in the next week. I think this next week is kind of a calm before the storm, because the week after that is the week where we're going to have the release of the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, and probably about 10 major game releases. All right? So it may be a week where I just focus in on Watch Dogs Legion, and maybe I alternate a little bit with something else. But for the most part, the big gaming time is coming. It's not here yet. All right? But it's coming. All right? It's right around the corner. So I might be close. I'm not sure yet what's going on in that first week of November. I have to confirm. But outside of that, it should be a good time, man. I'm excited. November's going to be a crazy month. We all know. Anyone who's been following the game release schedule, holy fuck. There's going to be so many releases in such a short period of time. Whew. It's going to be out of control. So, good stuff coming, my friends. Okay? Also, once we hit the month of November, all right, I am going to be doing a new subscriber poll, or subscriber goal, not poll, subscriber goal here on the streams. The sub goal will be for the Christmas event. That is correct. A Christmas marathon event. I do this every year. I'll be dressed up in fun holiday attire for that event. And we'll be basically doing a variety of games, again, as usual. And it should be good. Usually, we have a good merry old time, because it depends really on the variety of games, honestly, that get selected. But usually you get a good variety of stuff. It ends up being super fun. And I usually drink during the event. That's correct. I usually have some beer, or maybe one hard drink, or maybe some some eggnog or something like that and get a little bit imbibed, as they say. So anyway, the subscriber goals for the month of November will be based around the Christmas event. And I'm not going to set those up yet. I got to think about it in the next couple of days, what will the tiers be or whatever. But yes, there will be a subscriber goal for a Christmas event, okay, coming up in the month of November. When November starts, we say goodbye to the holiday decorations behind me, which is pretty sad. It's been pretty fun having these behind me this past month, in particular because I changed my setup this year, and now I have all this room behind me. But I also decorate for Christmas, so once we hit late November into December, I will basically, it's like right after Thanksgiving is usually where I put up my Christmas decorations for the month. So that will be coming as well. All right, so that's all I really have to say about the upcoming streams and the business and the like. I'll just say this before we get to news, because there's actually a couple gaming news stories to talk about this morning. First thing I would like to say is thank you all for the support recently. I appreciate it. If you would like to support the stream today, if you cheer, sub, or tip, I will give you a shout out. Interaction is a major part of my streams, as you guys know. Right now, in particular, I really need the support because of the insane amount of games I need to buy in the next month, including all the launch titles for PS5 and, of course, getting the PS5 itself. So any contributions are appreciated. I do prefer tips because tips I get immediately and I can use immediately for important stuff. So if you'd like to tip me, that is preferred, all right? But FYI, contributions are not mandatory. They're not expected. My streams are about hanging out with you guys and having a good time enjoying games, and that's what they've always have been. If you can't contribute, don't feel bad and don't feel pressured. But if you'd like to contribute, by all means, please do. That's what keeps everything going around here. As you know, we have various tips goals. If I raise $50 in tips today, I'll put on my gunner glasses. And if we raise $100, I'll put on a vest. Last night, we put on the camo vest. So that means that today, all the other vests are eligible. Beige, blue, platinum, red, and gray. Okay? Also, you may be interested in donating in a different way by checking out my Amazon wish list and purchasing some credits off of PlayStation Network. Because in the next month, I'll be buying, no exaggeration, between 9 to 12 games on the PlayStation Network. Okay? So if you'd like to maybe get me some PlayStation Network credits to help out with the cost of those games, I would absolutely appreciate that. So if you type in !wish list into the stream chat, that'll bring up a link to my Amazon wish list. You can go right there and buy any denomination that's listed there of the PlayStation Network credits. However, there's a catch. If you do happen to do that, first of all, thank you very much. But they're going to send you the code instead of me. And you might say, well, I don't understand. Why does the wish list work like that? I have no idea. You would think that Amazon would be smart enough to know that if you put something like that on a wish list, they should actually send the credits to the person you're buying them for, but they don't. So you'd have to email me the code at darksidephil@hotmail.com, and then I would actually be able to use those credits, okay? So, yeah, I would appreciate that. With the ginormous amount of games coming out in a very short period of time, I certainly hope that you guys will consider contributing in one of many different ways here on the streams, okay? All right, let's just move on to gaming news, okay? First of all, more delays. That's right. Ubisoft this morning announced major delays for all of the titles that they're currently working on, citing that COVID is the major reason why they're all being delayed. First of all, a game that they literally just announced within the last month and a half, Far Cry 6, is no longer coming out in early 2021. They basically said there's no way that it's happening. They do want it to come out between April 2021 and March 2022, but that's what they're aiming for now. But originally it was supposed to come out, wasn't it February? And they said, nope, that ain't happening, we're delaying it. Okay, so Far Cry 6 no longer coming out early next year. It's going to likely be mid to late 2021, okay? Now the same thing with the new Rainbow Six game, which I guess right now is being called Rainbow Six Quarantine, but I haven't heard much about it. Obviously Rainbow Six Siege was a huge flop at launch and then became one of the biggest success comeback stories in gaming history. So they want the next Rainbow Six to be a giant step forward and be a very positive gaming experience at launch to try to make up for the fact that Rainbow Six Siege was so bad at launch. So I'm okay with that. as long as the game is good at launch. But they, again, delayed indefinitely. We don't know when it's coming out, but they're aiming for a April 2021 to March 2022 release. All right, so not so bad, simply because those games are already far off anyway, and there was really no definite expectation, I feel, that they were actually going to be coming out during that time frame regardless. But it should be called out that, yeah, they are delayed. Okay. But once again, the major gaming story coming out this morning is more controversy around CD Projekt Red. It's like, good lord, this never ends. It seriously never fucking ends with this company at this point. So obviously, the big gaming news this week was that Cyberpunk got delayed 3 more weeks until December 10th, right? And everyone's like, is this game really coming out or not? So there was an investor call yesterday, and during the investor call, one of the co-heads of CD Projekt Red, Adam K, and I'm calling him K because I cannot pronounce his last name. I'm not even going to attempt to do it. But Adam K seemed to be of the impression the game will come out on December 10th, but he would not commit on the call that it is. He would not 100% commit that it's coming out then to investors. He was like, yes, that's what we're aiming for. That's what we're pushing for. We're fairly confident, but he would not 100% confirm it's coming out on that date. All right? Then he went on a very odd tangent regarding crunch, which actually left people listening to the call kind of confused as to why he talked like this. He basically said, oh, crunch isn't really a big deal. Not everyone in the company is being forced to do any kind of crunch. It's only, a lot of people actually finished their jobs on this game already, and so they're not crunching at all. It's really only people who are working on the final polish of the game for current gen consoles that are really crunching right now. And it's not that bad. Really. Like, it's really just overblown. It's not that bad. That's basically what he said on the call. Alright? So, everyone's like, why would he say that? Because everything that's been coming out, all the behind-the-scenes news we've heard, is the complete opposite. Right? We've heard that the people at CD Projekt Red are being overworked, but they've kind of accepted it because they're going to get paid for it, that it's okay. There's been all these controversial stories about the crunch at CD Projekt Red. And now you have to believe that with another delay, and the fact that he won't even confirm in the call that this game is definitely coming out on December 10th, that this is like a big issue, but he's acting like it's not in the call. Everyone was like, what? Like, shocked that he was talking like this. This morning, he sent an email out to all of his staff publicly apologizing again for his behavior on this call, saying he has no excuse for it. There's no defense for it. He basically shouldn't have said anything like that on the call. He feels absolutely horrible, and anyone who wants to personally talk to him can go to he's in a meeting room. Come see me and we'll talk about it. So basically the guy lied on this call, okay? Lied about the crunch not being a big deal. Was so guilt-ridden, or it could be his staff attacked him, right? It could be a lot of his staff came to him and said, what are you, a fucking asshole? We're working our asses off trying to finish this game. You delay it more, so now we got to crunch even more. And now you're saying publicly to people in calls and interviews that it's not a big deal that we're crunching? Like, who the fuck are you? I don't care if you're the head of the studio. Like, you got to have some fucking humanity here when it comes to your workforce. So then he came out publicly apologized. Oh my God. Well, actually not publicly, I should say. This was an internal email at CD Projekt Red that he sent out to all his staff. I'm so sorry. I should have never said those things, man. Again, if you have a problem, you can come talk to me personally. I'm really sorry. All right. So at this point, I got to say something. All right. It's obvious. The employees at CD Projekt Red are not happy. Because if they were, they wouldn't be leaking everything. Every email this guy sends out now gets leaked. Every single one. So why does this guy think that when he says bullshit like that he's going to get away with it? Like, I just don't understand how this guy thinks that he's insulated from, like criticism or being exposed. He's got to be in one of two things. It's either he is really stupid, or he's really incredibly overstressed and overworked. And in either case, I hate to say it, he probably shouldn't be in charge. Someone like that who's unhinged and at one moment will say one thing to one group and lie to their face to appease them, and then immediately flip-flop and say a different thing to a different group, that person should not be in charge of a major corporation. That is a recipe for disaster. This guy, who's a co-head of CD Projekt Red, is going to basically run them into the ground with this kind of behavior. You know? Why would you lie on an investor call? Just be honest. Yes, we're crunching. It's stressful, but we want this to be the best game possible. Why can't you just be honest? Why would you lie and then immediately have to apologize to your entire workforce the next morning? Like, it's obvious the guy, you know, he doesn't have control anymore. He says one thing, does another. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's not someone who should be in charge, especially for a game that's supposed to be one of the biggest games of the last few years, and a game that is super overhyped. The other thing you got to realize, okay, is every time that Cyberpunk gets delayed, it causes more drama, more controversy, and sadly more expectation. Because every time the game gets delayed, people are going to expect that it's better. Oh, well, you delayed it, so that better. It means you're taking more time to make it better, right? From some internal leakings, of course, we can't confirm if these are real. What the truth of the matter is behind the delays is that the game runs like shit on current gen consoles. On both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it's terrible. The frame rate is bad, it's choppy, and it's not consistent at all for what you would consider a AAA game release. Apparently, they really designed this game primarily for PC and next-gen consoles. That was their focus, and they were of the impression it wouldn't be a big deal if it didn't run that well on current gen. But now here's the problem. So many people want a PS5. So many people want an Xbox Series X. They're sold out everywhere. And I think they're realizing a lot of people will be playing this on current gen. And if it runs like shit on current gen, right, you're going to get a lot of people who are unhappy. Doesn't matter how good your game is if you can't see what's going on. So, you know, that is not good at all. And that's why they're delaying it. And it's like, you thought this game was going to come out in April of this year? Actually, originally, the release window was last holiday season. The original release window for Cyberpunk was holiday 2019. And then it got a solid release date in April, and then a solid release date in September, and then another solid release date in November, and now it's December. So when this happens, again, I'm of the impression, delay it as much as you want, but they have to stop lying. I just said yesterday, the major problem with this game studio is they fucking lie. They overpromise and underdeliver. You can't do that as a game studio. You have to underpromise and overdeliver, not vice versa, because that destroys consumer confidence. And when you have management, one of the co-heads of your company, saying crunch isn't a big deal, and then the next morning, that person is obviously either so ridden with guilt or so bombarded by complaints from the employees that they have to publicly come out and apologize for saying that because they know they were wrong. What the fuck kind of company is this? You know? I just don't know anymore. I mean, at this point, I think this game's a clusterfuck mess. I mean, I'll be playing it on PS4. Or excuse me, PS5. But they've already said the PS5 version is the PS4 version. Right? Which is weird, because if that's the case, then why does it run better on PS5 than PS4? I don't know. I just hope it runs good. I mean, it's going to be very disappointing if we all get this game and we start playing it like, wow, great premise, great gameplay, but the game is just, it just runs like duty. And because of that, your gameplay experience is hampered and it ends up not being anywhere near as good as the potential as it should have been. And they shouldn't have released it then. I was of the impression they should delay it till next year. Why not just delay the game until like spring, when they'll have more than ample time over the holiday season to work and finish out these bugs? I'll tell you why. Because they overpromised and underdelivered. They already launched their media campaign. There's already advertisements for Cyberpunk everywhere. I just took a picture of one when I went grocery shopping last week. There's a tie-in for Cyberpunk all throughout your stores. You can actually find Rockstar Cyberpunk drinks and Cyberpunk chips. It's all already in stores because the game was supposed to be out in a couple of weeks. So every time they delay this game, the marketing gets fucked up worse, because who the fuck wants to buy a Cyberpunk energy drink if the game's not coming out, right? And this is the problem. They overpromised. They should have never done that. They should have just been honest and said, we don't know when the fuck it's coming out. You know? They fucked it up. I don't know. Again, I hope it's good. I seriously hope the game is good. I want the game to be good. I want the game to perform well. I want it to be a game that blows us away. just like Witcher 3 did. But this is no Witcher 3 situation for sure. This is a fucking nightmare clusterfuck. Every day there's more negative news coming out of there. It's like, Jesus. Can we have like 1 week without this? I think what'll happen is people will stop talking about it once PS5's out. Like, once PS5 comes out and everyone's playing the launch titles for PS5, we'll all forget about Cyberpunk for a while. And then, hey, if the game actually does come out in December, great. But if it gets delayed, I don't think anyone's going to care at that point. You know? So, you know. I guess we'll see. But, again, it's like, geez, this story never ends. This story never ends. And by the way, I should say this guy, Jason, who works for Bloomberg News, he's the guy who keeps blowing the lid off this story over and over. He's doing a great job because so many people are hating on him for literally just sharing facts. Like, an employee who's his contact at CD Projekt Red sent him this leaked email. He leaked the email to him and said, here's what's going on. He posts the story up, and again, more people, oh, you're causing drama. And it's like, no, he's reporting news. You know, why are you hating on a fucking guy for actually just telling the truth when CD Projekt Red just wants to lie to the public constantly? You know, he's being constantly publicly attacked just because this is, again, if this was EA, if this was Ubisoft, if this was another company, this guy would be fine. But because it's CD Projekt Red, there's so many dumb fuck fanboys who just mindlessly defend shit out there because they're idiotic mouth droolers that they gotta attack the fucking journalist, right? So stupid. So he's been doing a great job on this story, and it's very interesting to follow what's going on a daily basis with this. This is totally exposing the game development industry for what it really is, which is a fucking unprofessional mess, quite frankly. It really is just an unprofessional mess. No organization, no real leadership. Just crunch, 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 hope the game's done. Which is not a way to go about business, and they really need to fucking change this, in my opinion. So, anyway, that's the deal with game news for today. Alright? Let's get the shout-outs. Excuse me. Get the shout-outs. Alright, we had some overnight contributions, which I'd like to call out and say thank you for. Alright? First of all, hilarious, because last night there was some guy who he spelled his name B-E-N-E-R, Burrito. Benner Burrito. So I was giving him shout-outs for his contributions, and he's like, oh, my name's Beaner Burrito. I said, if Beaner Burrito is racist, you can't use that name on Twitch. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say what your name is, Benner Burrito. So by the end of the night, the guy's complaining that I'm not saying his name right, and then he threatens he's going to charge back tips. Dear Benner Burrito, Beaner Burrito, whatever your name is, you can go fuck yourself. You don't threaten me. Alright? And if you ever do it again, I'm going to permanently ban you from my chat. You're not going to derail my chat with your stupid shit. I bring this up because he actually tipped at the very end of last night's stream and was complaining that, oh, he didn't say my name right. Fuck you. Fuck you and fuck off. I don't need you coming in here and throw, oh, I'm going to contribute and I'm going to derail Phil's stream by saying racist shit. Fuck you, you stupid racist piece of shit. If you ever fucking come back in here and try to threaten me again, you'll be gone for good. So, fuck off. Okay. Alright? Fair enough. I don't allow that kind of language on my streams, and I'm going to say your name however the fuck I want. I don't care if you're cheering or you throw me a couple bucks for a fucking tip. Fucking, the guy's an asshole. Alright. Now, to people who actually legitimately contributed overnight. Lightside Hank tipped me $10 overnight. He says, you know, because I can't follow Genshin Impact on stream because I live in Europe. Here's my tip. That's right. Genshin Impact, pretty much from now on, is going to be a night stream. And because, I guess, Hank is in Europe, he says he's not going to be able to attend the streams. Okay? Alright, he says, I'll follow it on YouTube. Hopefully you'll continue to play the wonderful game, even when it's only in downtime. I understand with busy times coming up. I mean, that's right. Remember, Genshin Impact was not a game that originally I was going to play. Incidentally, I only started playing it because, number one, I wrapped up other game releases a little bit more quickly than I actually expected myself to. I thought that games like Amnesia would actually be a little bit longer. And then number two, I also got a lot of requests for it because it was a surprise free to play game release that was actually really good, and people started asking me to play it. So those are the two reasons why I checked it out. But that being said, I never committed to playing it long term. At this point, I think I want to say I'm like 9 hours into it or something like that. And the game's good. Don't get me wrong. Again, it's on par with like a JRPG like Tales of, you know, Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Exilia, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of on par with a game like that, with open world mechanics like Breath of the Wild. So it's good in my opinion. But I'm definitely not committing to a lengthy playthrough of it. This is basically going to be a game that I play in between the cracks of all the other new releases coming out in the next couple of months. With the insane amount that are coming out, there's going to be long spans where I'm not going to have any kind of downtime between the cracks to play stuff. But this will definitely be a game that I will use to kind of squeeze into that stuff between, okay? So, yes, thank you, Lightside Hank, for the overnight tip. I appreciate that. Also, Golden Colts did several cheers overnight, so let's get to it. His first cheer says, do you like barbecue sauce? What's your favorite brand? I only like Stubbs, because most store-bought sauce is super sticky, sweet, and sugary. Well, Golden Colts, incidentally, that's the barbecue brand that I buy if I'm going to buy it. Stubbs barbecue sauce has several different varieties that are all good in my opinion. One of the ones that I like that has a little bit of spiciness to it is Sweet Heat. It's kind of sweet, but at the same time it has a burn to it. Unlike other barbecues, you're right. A lot of the other barbecues are way too sweet. The other one that I like is Smoky Mesquite because it has a smoke flavor, but it also has this like really strong barbecue kind of taste to it. Those are my two favorite Stubbs. Stubbs has others too. It has like 3 or 4 different flavors, but those are my favorite of the Stubbs barbecue. Another one that we've had that we like is Famous Dave's, because Kat and I have been to Famous Dave's. There's a Famous Dave's restaurant around here, and we've been there a couple of times getting barbecue. So it's cool to be able to have those flavors of barbecue sauce at home too. But if we're gonna like marinate something like chicken or something, usually we use Stubbs. So incidentally, we use the same thing as you, Golden Colt. So we agree with you. He cheered again. He says, people always talk about Sweet Baby Ray's, but it's so darn sweet. I don't want my meat food item that tastes like a pineapple candy. Real talk. Yeah, I've never tried Sweet Baby Ray's. I agree with you. Like, I think there are instances where maybe you would want barbecue to be sweet. I would almost think maybe on pork, maybe a sweetness would be a little bit better. But if you're doing like chicken or beef barbecue, you probably don't want super sweet, you know? So I agree with you there. Golden Colts cheered again, and he said, radical thesis, burgers are better without cheese. The reason they call it a hamburger is because it was originally Hamburg steak. You got to be able to taste the tenderness and complexity of the meat when it's a real burger and not some fast food abomination. Discuss. I think there are situations where cheese is good and situations where cheese is too overpowering. First of all, if you're going to have a hamburger, you should only have one piece of cheese. It should be a good, substantial piece of cheese, but only one. So a lot of these places you go, they load on the cheese, 2-3 pieces. Like, now I can't taste anything but the cheese. It's like a mouthful of cheese and nothing else. Also, I feel that when you make a burger, you should have condiments and toppings that complement the flavor of the burger, okay? So if you're going to have a burger with no cheese, that's great, but have a bunch of tasty vegetables on top, and then have a condiments that are going to complement the flavor. If you're not going to have cheese on the burger, then season the burger. Put some seasoning on while you're cooking the burger, so now there's extra flavor in the meat to carry out the flavor of the overall sandwich when you eat it, right? But yeah, you know, it depends. You know, people just overdo everything. Oh, I'm gonna make a burger with 2 pieces of cheese, bacon, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, relish, mustard, ketchup, mayo. What the fuck are you doing? Why don't you just put your whole fridge on a bun? Like, you're not going to taste any of that. You're going to taste, it's like, you might as well blend it all up and drink it like a fucking smoothie. You're not going to taste anything. People just completely, they negate the benefits of flavor profiles. A lot of people don't understand what a flavor profile even means, you know, because, you know, I just shovel shit down my throat, and I don't care about what I eat, you know. Yeah, who puts relish on their burger? I've had burgers with relish. I'm serious. Like, people will put anything on a burger and pretend like it's good, when in reality you really need to balance what you're doing and limit what you're doing. Again, it's all about moderation. It's all about flavors playing off each other when you're cooking. So you're gonna make the right burger, you gotta make it the right combination. I've seen people put French fries on a burger. You're doing it wrong. All right, you're doing it fucking wrong. I'm not even a fan of onion rings on a burger. You know, if you're going to have onions, you either need like a red onion or a fried onion. I even feel like those onions, the breaded onion that they put on burgers sometimes, I don't like that either. I just don't. I feel like that it's killing the flavor of what you're supposed to be focusing on when you're putting a fried breaded thing on a burger. Yeah, I don't know. But, you know, I could talk here about burgers for a while, but we're not going to go too crazy here. But But that's my opinion. But yeah, you shouldn't go crazy with cheese on a burger. If you're going to have a burger, one piece of cheese tops. If not, if you don't have cheese, you could actually accentuate now the flavor of the burger by adding more complementary things to the burger, because the cheese isn't going to overpower the flavor of them, right? There you go. All right. So now we actually move on to people who contributed during today's live stream. And the first person was Shadow the Hedgehog, who did a 500-bit cheer. So let's get that up on the leaderboard. Thank you, Shadow. And oh my god, that's disgusting. He says, make a good Axl... I'm a good Axl Rose of gaming, both entertaining. One is music, one is a gaming icon. I don't know if I could live up to the expectation of being the Axl Rose of anything. Maybe the Axl Rose of gas, right? Like you know, being a gaseous entity. Maybe I'm that level in that, but outside of that, I don't know about I don't know about gaming. But I do appreciate the kind words and the large, generous cheer. Thank you, Shadow the Hedgehog. B-Boy Cyclone has resubscribed for 44 months. Thank you for the almost 4 years of support, sir. He says, hope you're not playing this on the Xbox One X, Phil, because there's a game-breaking bug that will overheat and power down your Xbox on a mission called 404 Not Found. Wow. That does not sound good. That does not sound good at all. Hopefully we don't have that kind of issue playing the game. All right, thank you for the support. Frog Detective Cheeredy says, I don't think the disposability of characters is a problem. This is a staple of roguelike games where every run is a fresh character. It encourages you not to be too attached to characters and builds and experiments, since they're likely going to die anyway. The real challenge is incorporating them into a narrative-heavy game where each character picks up where the last one left off. And that's the thing, like, I don't know if I'm convinced that's going to work. The last game, Watch Dogs 2, was the complete opposite. You had a core group of characters who each had their own unique personalities and quirks. You got to know the characters. You learned their backstories. You did individual missions per each character, per their strengths and weaknesses. That made sense. And because of that, the game had a personality. How can this game have a personality when everyone's just a disposable character? And I'm not saying that roguelike games like that don't work. I'm just saying this franchise originally was heavily criticized for the story being shitty in the first game. So they completely flipped it on its head and made the story way more complex and personable in the second. Now are they going to make it more generic again so that all the characters are disposable? I don't know. We're about to find out because I'm going to play the game in a few minutes here, right? I guess we're going to find out. Sugar Snap 44 cheers. Do you think anyone at the top level can work a regular 8 hours a day and make it? Top games, movies, art, and science take dedication. It's a life, not a job. Well, here's the thing. First of all, no one's saying 8 hours a day. Certainly no one is saying that there's not going to be times when you work overtime and there's not going to be times when there's crunch. What we're saying is it shouldn't be a culture of crunch. Game development shouldn't be expect to have hell for 3 years of your life where you have no time to spend with your family, where you have no personal time, because the game is so overly rushed and hyped and overpromised and underdelivered that now you have to sacrifice your own health and your own personal life to get that game out, right? It's a cultural thing in game development that needs to fucking change. There need to be unions in place to stop this shit. Not every industry is like this. It's just not. You can't live your life like that constantly. Who would want to live a life like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is nuts that we just accept it. That, oh, well, it's a common practice in gaming, so just accept it. No, we should stand up and demand better. That's what we're supposed to do. As humans, as a culture, we have to stand up and say, no, we recognize a misdeed. We recognize something that's wrong. We want it to improve. Not we just accept it, right? Because it always happens. You can't. Call of Fate says you'll eventually burn yourself out. You're right. You can't live like that. You can't just constantly have yourself be 100% overworked constantly in your life. You're gonna, what kind of a life is that to even fucking live? Wow, I played the best game ever, but at what expense? Because 300 people basically were miserable for fucking a year, right? Well, maybe I don't want that game then. Maybe maybe instead of, again, overpromise, underdeliver, because we all work this weird corporate life of everything has to be so profitable for the shareholders and shit. How about instead, we understand that for a good game to come out, it's going to take a long fucking time, and we don't try to rush, and we put out proper planning, proper budgeting, proper, you know what I mean? Proper manpower. The problem is all this is expensive and all of this takes a lot of time. And honestly, companies don't want to hear that. They want instant earnings. They want it right away. They want promised profits. And this is what's wrong with corporations and the whole corporate entities of the world and capitalism in general. It's profits at the expense of people instead of people working together to put out a quality product, and the product is so good, people will buy it, and then the profits come. Instead, it's got to be, the profits are guaranteed before the product's even out, and we got to fucking push out the shovelware shit so that everyone will buy it, and money, money, money. Well, that's not how it's going to fucking work forever. It's just not. It's just, you know? And yeah, maybe they got by with that shit for a while, but it's time to realize this doesn't fucking work anymore, and there's got to be a giant cultural change in game development for the better of everyone, for the better of both the people working and making the games and the benefit of the consumer as well. Consumers are also getting screwed over every time that CD Projekt Red delays this game because we don't know when it's ever coming out. I mean, how many people, we just talked about this yesterday, people were outright promised by CD Projekt Red this game would be out on November 10th or whatever date it was. I think it was the 10th. I could be wrong. It was probably like the 17th or something. So they took time off of work to play it and then they delayed it. So it's like, everyone's negatively affected by this. It's not just one small group or whatever. It's got to be a situation where we can be honest with each other and be like, okay, here's our capacity. Here's what we can actually do. And I hate to say it. If management can't figure that out, if Adam K and whoever the other co-head of CD Projekt Red are, if they can't actually figure out their capability, their capacity to do this, they shouldn't be in charge. That's the job of the person in charge, to know the capability of your workforce, to know what you can get done in a certain period of time. That's management's job. If you're not doing your job, then someone else should step up to do it. If they're inept, then someone else needs to do it. I'm sorry. Is being honest here, all right? But that's my take. That's my take on it. Carlton Jr. cheered, says, I don't think it makes sense they delayed Cyberpunk because it runs like shit on current gen. The game was announced in 2013. There was no next gen to develop for. I don't think that makes any sense. I don't even know what they can realistically accomplish in 3 extra weeks they couldn't do in 7 years. Well, again, when you hear about these horror stories and the things going on behind the scenes in game development, this game was primarily made for PC. That's the problem. They weren't catering to console at all. They were developing it for PC. And then they said, once the PC is done, then we'll actually basically make it so it'll work for consoles. Now, while they were developing it for PC, the next-gen consoles were announced. They got their hands on the next-gen console hardware. And they were then basically porting the game from PC to the next-gen consoles, which, of course, is easy because the next-gen console is way similar to a PC than, say, the last-gen consoles, right? So Xbox One and PS4 ended up being kind of like their afterthought. That's the problem. Maybe, again, perhaps, this was done the wrong way. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps they should have focused on PS4 and Xbox One and then said, okay, great, we'll have an upgraded version later for the next-gen consoles, but we want this to run beautifully on the current-gen consoles. But that's not the approach they took. It was PC first and then port it to everything else. I hate to say it. Perhaps CD Projekt Red, being a game developer that in the past heavily was successful on PC, slightly overestimated the impact of the PC version of the game. I think what happened here is they were thinking PC is going to sell more than all the console versions, but now that we have next-gen consoles, they just got fucked. And they're like, oh shit, there's a ridiculous amount of people buying the next-gen consoles who want this game on them. Oops. Oopsie. Anyway, let's continue. Shout out to Shook Ones, who tipped me $2. That's the first tip of today. This Far Cry 6 just got delayed as well. It was announced a couple hours ago. Yes, we actually already talked about that on the pre-stream. Not that it's a huge deal because it didn't actually have like a actual concrete set in stone, definitely coming out on this exact day and date kind of a deal, going for it. We knew it was supposed to be coming out in like February of 2021, but I'm not shocked to hear that at all. And I'm actually happy that this early that they actually basically announced that. They didn't wait to the last minute and to realize they couldn't fucking, deliver on that initial promise. They realized early, and now there's no giant disappointment based around it. So that was a good thing, in my opinion. Shu Cow O has resubscribed for 14 months. Thank you for over a year support, Shu Cow. I appreciate that. Very nice. Wings pulling strings at 150-bit cheer. He says, Dr. Tony, huge supporting you. Reminds me of that one Malcolm in the Middle episode where Rich Piana, Jay Cutler, and their bodybuilder buddies pull Bryan Cranston's car like a sled, laughing out loud. I have no fucking clue what you just said, and no one else does either. Chef Excellence 2 cheered. He said, it'd be fucking awesome to have a big-ass... Alright, I'm not even reading that. That's really stupid. Frog Detective cheered. He says, speaking of burgers, have you ever had horse meat? There was a place in New York City called Bear Burger where they had different exotic kinds of meats like buffalo, ostrich, and others. I've never had horse meat. I'm trying to remember if I've ever had venison. I swear I have, but I can't remember when or where. But I swear I tried venison once. But I had buffalo a lot. Actually, in Connecticut, there's a place I used to go to called the Merritt Canteen. It's a very cool place. It's a local place for things like hot dogs, hamburgers. They even have like fried clams. I think they have shrimp, but I'm not 100% on that. But basically, it's a really good fast food joint. Everything's fresh, made to order. And one of the unique things that they did there was bison burgers. And it was the first time I ever had bison meat. And man, it is good. Bison meat is incredibly tasty. Very low fat. It's a very lean meat, but it's full of flavor. It tastes very different from beef, though. What I would get a bison burger. And then I would get like a hot dog with like a crazy, like a Red Hot, because they sold Red Hots there. Not just hot dogs, but Red Hots. Red Hots is basically a hot dog with a bunch of very spicy stuff in it. And I would get that. Oh, man, that would be a good one. And John Rambo and I would do that. He would come to my condo. We would film Smart Guys together. We would edit it and then upload it. And as it was uploading, we would then go get food. And sometimes we would go over to the Merritt Canteen and grab burgers, Red Hots, and stuff like that. And then we would come back to my condo. We would play games all day. And we would record, and then we would upload those videos to YouTube. During the course of the day. That's what we used to do. It was a cool a very cool schedule, and a thing that was a really cool thing to look forward to once a week. Anyway, no, never. I don't think I've never had horse meat. I've never had. I swear I might have had venison, but I can't put my finger on when I did. All right, Sugar Snap Cheery says, doesn't the fact that capitalists make 100% of all good games prove that it leads to better games? Otherwise, China and the USSR would be making the game. The USSR hasn't existed since the late 80s. That could be the dumbest statement I've ever heard anyone say on my stream. You actually acted like the USSR still exists to make games. China just put out Genshin Impact, and the game is great. I mean, it copies a ton from fucking Breath of the Wild, but the game is pretty fucking good for a free-to-play game, and it just made some, like, $200 billion in its first month. So, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Just because 99% of the cases of game developers out there are based on a capitalistic model doesn't necessarily mean that that model is the only model that will work. It just means that's all that's out there, and we need to have other kinds of takes on it to figure out what actually works and doesn't destroy the employees in the process. That's my take on it anyway. You actually said the USSR. I can't believe this. This like throwback to Zangief in Street Fighter 2 Russian dancing with Mikhail Gorbachev in his ending. Anyway, Angelo Bestia resubscribed for 4 months and says, oops, I misclicked here. He says, I've been MIA, Phil, but here's the 4 months of support. Also, fuck capitalism. Fuck corporate culture. People over profit always. I'm of that opinion. But sadly, corporate America and corporations around the world are not. Sadly, a lot of our government is not. So, Golden Nobles did a 95-bit year. He says, I got a cold front out here in Texas. Don't know how long that's going to last, knowing Texas. How's the weather out here? It is a beautiful autumn day today. Full clouds outside. Not a hint of sun. Whole sky is covered in clouds. Cool air. I think it's around the 50s degrees Fahrenheit. I got a little breeze going. I got my fan on. It's a very comfortable day for streaming for me. This is the key weather that I look for all year long when it comes to being a streamer, is having this autumn time and winter time are the two like prime times for me for streaming. And so I'm very excited. The next month and a half, I'm going to be able to cover all the new releases with nice weather. It's going to be really good. Even, what was it, yesterday, the day before, it was really sunny outside, and my office did not heat up because the weather is cool enough. It doesn't happen anymore, so I'm very excited. This is the good time of the year for me. Excuse me. Thank you for the cheer, Golden Cults. 007 Blaine is here today and tipped me $5. Biggest tip of the day so far. Thank you, 007 Blaine. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a bit, and I hope that you're doing well. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're excited to see what this game turns out to be, much like everybody else. All right? We're all excited to see what the hell this is going to end up being. So, Eternal Napalm did 100-bit cheers. I'm enjoying your Genshin Impact playthrough. I'm glad that you like the game. In the future, beware sometimes you'll see assholes harassing and bullying the Sealies. And check out Zangling's hot and spicy dishes. Well, I don't think we got to the point where we can check out her cooking yet, actually, because we're still in her plot line. Maybe to unlock that capability. But I always try to follow the Sealies to get some good rewards. Okay, let's do some shout-outs, my friends. First of all, shout out to the top cheers of the week so far. The week is still very young, and being that today we're finally starting a new release, obviously this will probably shift relatively quickly. But thank you to those who've cheered so far this week. We actually have a tie for 9th place between Rob on Wheels and Medivend. In 8th place, we've got Timbo Slice. 7th place, Dr. Tony Huge. A tie for 5th place between Infinite 55 and Shadow the Hedgehog. 4th place goes to Pool King 222. 3rd place, Nin Star Room. 2nd place, Benner Burrito. That's right, I said it. That's how his fucking name is spelled. And in 1st place, Jericho Kane. Thank you guys for your support. As for people who have gifted subscriptions to the channel, short but sweet, we got 3 people each gifted a single sub so far this week. We got Lunaba, the Alcoholic Mormon, and Melody Zelda. Thank you to the 3 of you. Appreciate that. Timbo Slice just cheered. He said, we're 2 weeks away, baby. PS5 hype. That's right. It's is it exactly 2 weeks now? Because it's the 12th, right? And, yeah, I guess it would be exactly 2 weeks. So that means it would be a Thursday in 2 weeks where, hopefully, my PlayStation 5 will be delivered at launch. I hope. I have to hope, because I don't know if it actually will or not. But let's hope that it does get delivered on time. That'll be a pretty awesome unboxing launch day stream, and of course with the insane amount of games that'll be coming out, although I'll probably have to pick and choose which ones I can get immediately at launch because of cost factor and everything, but should be pretty exciting. 2 weeks hype. I can't wait for all the people in less than 2 weeks to get their Xbox Series X's and sit around playing old games because there's no games for the thing. Anyway, sorry, I'm just taking a little jab there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a brief break. I've got to use the restroom. But when I come back, it's time for the premiere of Watch Dogs Legion. All right? I'm excited. Thank you for the support on this pre-stream. I'll be back shortly with the gameplay. See you in a bit.